the Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Hello and welcome back to the show. In this short Empathy Expansion Kit episode, we are covering the topic of customer service with heart. I'm Stephen Sakach here with Tullio Siragusa. Hey, Tullio.
Hey, let's see if I could do a heart. Terrible example of one, but I tried.
So let's start by defining what empathy means in the context of customer service. It isn't just addressing the customer's issue. It's about understanding their emotions and needs and expectations. It means putting yourself in their shoes, like most empathy, and seeing the world from their perspective, feeling that frustration when the product doesn't work as expected, or recognizing their excitement when they find something they love, or understanding the urgency when they're in a time crunch. So in practice, empathetic customer service means, listening actively, asking thoughtful questions, responding, and acknowledging their emotions. It's not just about getting to the solution as quickly as possible. It's about making sure the customer feels heard, validated, supported throughout that interaction. So empathy requires genuine curiosity and a willingness to connect on the human level, not just fix the problem, but understand how the problem impacts their day-to-day life. So we've talked about this in the past, but there are 3 stages of the emotional customer journey. There's the emotional understanding, kind of what we're just talking about, expressing that empathetic understanding of the customer's emotion. There's emotion management. So this is where you try to win the heart by providing the helpful recommendations and service. And then you want to get to that emotional connection. That's really kind of the end goal of that process, right, Tullio?
Absolutely. That's the most important distinction. And you said something really key earlier, which is the phase of curiosity. Even in design thinking, there's 5 phases, but I've always adopted an earlier phase, which is curiosity. Phase 1 is always curiosity, because without curiosity, you won't dig deeper to really understand. So, for example, empathetic customer service, it goes beyond just solving a problem. That's what I would call just taking care of the transaction. It's beyond transactional needs. It's about creating a positive emotional connection that can literally transform the entire customer experience. When you address a customer needs with empathy, it's not just about, hey, I took care of the problem for you. You're making them feel valued. You're making them feel respected, cared for, like you want them to be a customer. There's a connection that's made there. There's a relationship that's built. And that emotional connection has the power to turn a one-time customer into a very loyal advocate, including turning that potential customer into an ambassador for the brand. So think of it this way. A quick, efficient service that lacks empathy might get the job done, and it often does, but it leaves no emotional impact. It doesn't make you feel, wow, that was awesome. It was like, okay, they took care of my need. Next, right? There's no memory associated with it other than check, problem solved, right? On the other hand, when the customer feels they've been treated with genuine care, like their happiness matters to the company, it creates an experience, a memorable experience. It's not just they took care of the problem, but if they also took care of me. They took care of the problem, but they took care of me. And there's the distinction between just taking care of a transaction and creating an experience. There's something the person feels that was done for them, not just for what they needed. And this, in today's marketplace, where customers have so many options, is key. The more a customer feels connected and cared for, the more likely they will return to your brand and also share positive experiences about your brand, and even become advocates or ambassadors that will spread the word about your business, which is ultimately the greatest gift you could have, where someone feels so good about the experience that they talk about it, which is human nature. So empathy in customer service isn't just, it's a nice to have, right? It's really a differentiator. It's a business differentiator. And it's what makes people feel like they're not just a ticket or in the system or a transaction that's to be solved, but they're valued as individuals that actually matter to the brand. So it's super powerful.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that a lot in terms of like marketing. It's when you get to that sort of consumption stage, you want those emotions, you want that connection there, because that's really, like you mentioned, if they become, loyal ambassadors to your brand, this is the best marketing you can get. So this is an opportunity to take them kind of to that level with your brand. You've got an opportunity to connect with them. So you really, like you said, can't just have this short interaction problem solved. Really see if you can take it to the next level. And so,
I mean, it's, I think, like a doctor. You go to a doctor's office that has horrible bedside manners. They might be the most educated, highly rated doctor because they're really efficient and effective at what they do. Maybe it's a surgeon, right? But you're going to leave feeling a little like, I don't know, versus the doctor who's like empathetic and just speaks with you and shows care and like understands that you're scared and makes you feel like, this doctor gets me. They have all the checklist items, right? But they also just kind of get me and they make me feel at ease. Guess which doctor you're going to end up choosing? The one that makes you feel at ease. Both could be very effective at saving your life if it's a really critical surgery, right? But one's going to make you feel like you want to go back or you want to recommend someone to them. It's that critical in terms of a difference.
Yeah, actually, I've got a doctor's appointment later this evening for some physical therapy, but their front desk is really, really good at this place. And I just was thinking to myself that when they're going through kind of their motions with me and stuff, but it was really friendly, really connecting, just that interaction. So for sure, yeah, that doctors are always in that empathetic space when they're at their best. So, but with your regular sort of customer service of, maybe you've got a product or something like that, it's how do you embed that empathy into your customer service? Well, you're going to have to probably do some training for your frontline staff. It might not be natural for some people. The good ones, it usually is, but most people are probably capable of this with just a little understanding of the process. So, it should go beyond just your technical skills and policies. It's about teaching your staff how to interact with customers on the human level. So think about incorporating things like, role-playing exercises that kind of simulate the real-world scenarios. Make sure the goal is not just to help them address the customer problem, but to fully understand the customer's perspective. Throw some curveballs at them, make it difficult on them, try and figure out ways you can try and push your staff buttons. But just, you want them to respond throughout all that in a way where they make the customer feel genuinely cared for. Another important aspect is personalization training. So help your staff kind of understand that each customer has their own unique backgrounds, their own unique emotional state. So training should really encourage staff to listen to not just what's being said, but how it's being said, the tone, the pace, choice of words. Sometimes people just don't quite pick up on that, but there's a little more to listening there than just the words that are being said. So it goes beyond kind of that surface level to understand really how the customer is feeling in that moment.
There's a few other things that they can do. So if you can hire people that are naturally empathetic, great. That's a wonderful gift. Little secret, people who tend to volunteer their time tend to be more empathetic than those who don't. So, but you can't always get exactly what you are looking for. So you can create an empathy mapping model, which can help the staff have a process for how they can apply empathy. So it's not something where you have to be gifted with empathy to create this. I mean, it's great if you had it. I would highly encouraging the team to volunteer. You're going to get them to activate that more consciously. But there's a few things that businesses can do. They can go deeper. They can do some empathy mapping as part of their training. What essentially empathy mapping is, it's like creating a visual representation of a customer's emotions, pains, gains, and needs. And it helps the staff put themselves in the shoes of the customer by focusing on questions like, what is the customer seeing and hearing from our brand? What frustrations might they be feeling in that moment or in this moment when they interact with you? And what does success look like for them at the end of the interaction? So these questions help you put yourself in the customer's shoes, in their mindset. It's not about how do I solve the problem. It is more, how do they want it solved from their point of view? How are they perceiving us? What are they feeling? And what does it look like for them to have a successful outcome? So it's flipping the questions and the approach with the clients. And that could be trained. You can train people to do that. And, these kinds of exercises really allow the staff to step back, view the situation more holistically. It puts them to look at things beyond just solving the immediate problem. Empathy mapping is really all about the team exercising and developing a shared understanding of common customer scenarios and how to best to respond to them with compassion and thoughtfulness. So you can train the team to be empathetic. You can map it. You can create a model where people, with practice, immediately start changing their mindset from how do I solve the problem to what does the customer need solved? How can I fulfill that need for the customer on the things that matter to them? So it's flipping the question around and the mindset around.
That's it for today's episode. Catch us again tomorrow as we are live with our guest. Ask questions, and we will see you on the next Bliss Business Podcast.